Do you ever have those moments where you're like, oh my gosh, wait, where did the last year go? Or like, what just happened to the last 2-3 years? My goal here is for us not to feel that way. I want us to feel like we are in control of our intentions, our direction. Oh, it makes me tear up, you guys. I don't know why. This gets me so emotional. Hey friends, today by request, we are doing a journaling exercise. This is a great way to kick off the new year if you want to gather some clarity around what you want this year to consist of. We're going to keep it really easy today and just use a couple of prompts. Before we get started though, I am so hungry and I've been craving hot cocoa, so I am going to make some cocoa, make a quick snack. It's the perfect opportunity if you want to grab some tea, some cocoa, a snack, or anything to nibble on as we are working on the journaling. So let's do that now and then we'll jump on the couch and get started with our journaling. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is really, really good. I just did a chocolate oatmeal with some raspberries, and then we put some hemp seeds in there for a little bit of extra protein and omegas. And then I have these chocolate truffles. So I put one of those in there and it's like melting on it and it's so good. So this is the perfect snack. I needed some brain food because we're going into the afternoon and I want to feel ready to go for this journaling. So before we get started on the journaling itself, let's just talk briefly about the mindset and why journaling can be so impactful, especially at this time of year. Obviously, in our society, we go typically by the calendar year in terms of thinking about goals, New Year's resolutions, all of those sorts of things. So it can be a great exercise during this time of year to look back on the last year and then look forward to the next year. It's also nice to do this in the springtime. That's personally my favorite partially because my birthday's in the spring, so it just feels like a nice way to think about it. But I do love to do it this time of year because there is so much content, so many things that are really just geared towards helping you plan your year. I think it's really important to do this because if you don't, things might just pass you by and you might not set intentions or set goals and move forward. Do you ever have those moments where you're like, oh my gosh, wait, where did the last year go? Or like, what just happened to the last 2-3 years? My goal here is for us not to feel that way. I want us to feel like we are in control of our intentions, our direction, and we are intentionally moving forward rather than just letting things happen to us. On the same note, me and Jimmy, my husband, we started something a couple years ago, I think, maybe 1 or 2 years ago, where we do this together at the start of every year. We meet together and we created a spreadsheet where we talk about our goals as a couple. How are we doing on the past year? How are we each doing individually? And it's very, very powerful. We meet once a month to kind of check in with each other. So this is like doing that same thing that I do with my husband, but for ourselves, because we have to make sure that we ourselves are good in order to be good for those around us too. All it takes is a little bit of time and hopefully moments where you can focus and have some quiet or just be by yourself if possible. A lot of places have libraries where you can actually rent rooms for free, like a meeting room. So that's an option too if you feel like you don't have a quiet place where you can focus on this. I would recommend doing that, having a snack, like making sure you're in a good headspace. Don't do it on a day you're sick. Don't do it on a day you are upset about something. Try to do it on a day where you feel good and you feel supported. And what we want to do is we're going to go through 2 journaling prompts together. I'm going to keep it really, really simple. I don't think you need to spend a ton of time on this or overcomplicate it. I think actually the most important thing here is getting clarity and finding the most important things for yourself. So we'll go ahead and get started. The first first prompt that we are going to do is we are going to say, what do I want to start doing? What do I want to stop doing? And what do I want to continue? So this is more of a brainstorming, I would say, for this first one. And we are going to break down into 3 sections, use this to reflect a little bit on the last year or so. Then we will leverage some of this too as we go on to our second prompt. So first, let's start with that. And I'm going to do it along with you so we can go ahead and get started. This is something I have done many times, especially just when I'm in a rut or I need some clarity. And typically this is how I like to organize it. I do stop doing, continue doing, and start doing. The stop doing and continue doing is typically the best place to start because it's a lot easier, unfortunately, for our brains to be negative, for example. So we can think of things that we don't like much easier. So I could think right now, stop doing. I want to stop watching so much TV. I want to stop eating sweets late at night, like things like that, right? It's easy to think of those things. So we're going to start there. Then we'll move on to continue doing. These are things that we're doing right now that we're proud of or happy about and we want to bring forward. So this might be doing Pilates. I might want to bring that forward. Then we have start doing. This one is typically a little bit harder, but that's why we start up here so we can start brainstorming first. Once we think about start doing, what you want to do is mentally position yourself to start thinking about your future self. Where is the gap between who I am now and who I want to be? That's the mindset we want to get in here. What are things that I could be doing to better support myself, have better relationships with myself, my family, if you have children, things that you could do to be happier with your career, all of that. So let's go ahead and get started. We will work on this for a bit. And I'm going to really challenge you here. Just go ahead and brain dump, write as much as you possibly can. We can go back and cross things out and circle things and prioritize, but the best thing that you could do is have more than less. Okay, here we go. If you need more time, that is totally fine. Just pause the video and then play it when you're ready. I want to go through and share some of my things that I wrote down here because I would rather that you really go inward first and see what's coming to you, because if I share these before you do that, it might influence how you're thinking. So please try to do it for yourself first. First, stop doing. I mentioned this. Watch too much TV, hitting the snooze button, overthinking decisions. That is a big one. Saying yes when it's a no. There was a few things that were very aligned. Saying yes when it's a no, overextending myself, doing too much. These have been something that has been very difficult for me because I always feel I'm not doing enough and like I need to be doing everything. It's really hard when you put that type of pressure on yourself and it leads to this like underlying constant anxiety. It's a lot harder in today's world because a lot of us have lived in several different cities and we might not live where we grew up, for example. So we might have friends and family all over the country or all over the world, and you may be asked to do things that you would love to be there for, but you unfortunately cannot take the time to go do. And that's okay. If someone really loves you, like if someone is a true friend, they will always understand that life is really hard. There's so much going on at any given time. We all have so many things we are handling and trying to prioritize and trying to manage. You need to have those boundaries and that level of understanding. And that's something I'm working on developing because I know myself, and when I can do it, I know that I will do it and I want to be there and I always want to do the best that I can. But sometimes you really do have to be realistic with yourself. Like we had, I think like 11 weddings 2 years ago that we were invited to. And that was a really tough year because they were all friends and family. I know I just went off on a tangent. tangent, but this is something I really want to work on. And I think it's, something to think about too. Like, where are you maybe overextending yourself elsewhere where it's taking away from the things that you really do need to work on for yourself too? Adding items to the house, deprioritizing self-care, stop doing tasks that I can automate myself, things like that. Next, continue doing my Pilates classes and workouts. I had a change in the schedule there recently, so I'm trying to figure that out. But whatever that looks like, whether it is me working out there, me working out at home, it is going to continue. Other things are walking, doing hair masks, electrolytes and water, reading, spending quality time with Jimmy, journaling, planning, practicing gratitude, eating a healthy diet, listening to podcasts, all of the things that when I do them, I feel better. If you've ever seen Marie Kondo's show or read her book, and she talks about when you pick up an item, does it give you joy? I want you to think about that feeling of, does it bring you joy when you do tasks and activities? There are things like listening to a podcast that might bring you joy because you're learning something new. You really like the host. You find it really stimulating, inspiring, entertaining. And if there are tasks like that where you get that really great feeling, can you also combine that with a task that maybe you don't get that feeling, like when you're doing laundry or making the bed or doing the dishes? Can you take these tasks and layer them over it so that you're doing these things, continuing or starting to do these things that really fill you up and give you that joy, and you're actually making better use of time of things that you have to do that maybe aren't the most joyful or stimulating or exciting? That's something I like to think about as well, is how can I continue doing these things and do them more by stacking them over other things that I have to do. And then we're going to talk briefly about start doing as well. So things that I put on here is yoga. I used to do yoga very regularly, and I just kind of like fell off of it. So I want to start doing that a little bit for flexibility. Spending time with inspiring, uplifting people. I think that's really important because the people that you surround yourself with impact you so much. I want to do more sports. I would like to start practicing Italian because I used to speak it pretty well. And it's just not something I get to speak. So I want to practice it, and I want Jimmy to learn it so that we could practice it together. I want to start meditating again because I was really good about it for a while and I kind of just fell off. So however that looks, I want to start doing those more meditative moments for myself. Doesn't need to be crazy. Elevating my outfits, minimizing and decluttering things that I don't need, that don't align with me. I want to avoid polyester clothes because that is something that I think is really important, and I'm just trying to minimize toxins in my life. And then also I want to do more mental manifesting and gratitude practice. So that kind of aligns with everything we're talking about here today. I'm reading a book right now by Dr. Joe Dispenza, and it's a very powerful book. It's called Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. I'm about a quarter of the way through, and already there has been so many nuggets of just really valuable, actionable, applicable things that I can take and use in my daily life. Really what he's talking about is applying physics, like the different laws of physics, to our lives and to our thoughts, and how what we think and how we feel actually does impact our life. I'm a big believer in that. If that does not align with you, that's okay. But I think he does, create a really compelling argument for that. So I would highly recommend the book if you're open to it and, interested in learning more about that. I feel like too, what's the harm? If you're going to be positive, and if you're going to try to really elevate yourself and be in a state of gratitude and do all of these things, really, what's the harm? The worst case scenario is that you're less stressed and you're a happier person. Best case scenario is that you're actually impacting your life and designing your life a little bit and having so much more intention of where you get to go. Those are some things that I included in my start doing category. Now for our second prompt. This is a fun one because it's very creative. The prompt is, imagine that it is December 31st, 2025, a year from now. You're reflecting on your year. You look back at what you accomplished, who you became, experiences that you had, trips you went on, what you did, what your day-to-day life looked like, all of that. You're looking back on those things. Write a detailed description of what you're seeing and what it was like and what it felt like. There is a really beautiful meditation on an Insight Timer. It makes me tear up every time I do it. I'm gonna share a little tidbit of it with you actually because it's so beautiful and I think it'll get you in the right mindset. So imagine you're walking on a beautiful beach and you see someone in the distance and you walk up to them. It's you a year from now. You're smiling, you look like you're glowing, you look beautiful and happy and relaxed, and there's no signs of stress. You just look really healthy and great. Oh, it makes me tear up, you guys. I don't know why. This gets me so emotional. You give yourself a hug and you say, so what have you been up to this past year? Tell me all about it. And the meditation is really that, to like think about what would your future self tell you if it was like a beautiful year, if it was the best possible year. Oh my gosh. I don't know why. It gets me every time. I've done that meditation so many times, even sharing it. My gosh. So, okay, that's the mindset I want y'all to be in. I want you to dig really, really deep. I don't want you to put limits on yourself. I want you to just like really let yourself dream here. Let's take some time to do that now, and take as long as you need. Pause the video if needed when we get to that, and take as much time as you need, because I think this one is really, really important. The more clarity that you can get on this, oh my gosh. I'll give you one analogy before we get started. You want to be happy. You want to be successful. You have all these broad terms, right? You're in a car and you put in your GPS happy or successful. And the GPS is like, I don't know what that is. It's too broad. But you think about it and you really boil it down and you get to, what does that actually look like for me? Does it look like, living in a different place? Does it look like having different friends, different career? What does it look like? And you take all of that context, you put in the GPS. The GPS is like, okay, now I know where we're going and I know exactly how to get you there. If you can't clearly articulate to yourself where you want to be, it's not going to change. When I first realized that, oh my gosh, I was like, yes, that's so true. If I can't tell you exactly what I want to accomplish, exactly what my goals are, exactly where I want to be, how am I going to get there? Happy is totally ambiguous. That is different for everyone. So what does happy look like to you? What does peaceful look like to you? Challenge yourself right now as you think through those things and do this prompt. Okay, y'all, so this one is obviously going to be so deeply personalized and custom to yourself, but I did want to share some categories because I felt that could be helpful as you're working through this. The first one being health and wellness. So this might be saying that, oh wow, like I look so strong and fit from exercising. I'm so flexible. I'm really glowing. The next thing to think about could be career and purpose. Here, you might think about, what have I achieved, or what does my day-to-day look like, and how do I feel like I'm proud of myself because I did XYZ. Those are the type of statements, right? The next thing you can think through is relationships and community. So think about, if you have a partner, how are you nurturing that relationship? Maybe you don't have a partner currently and that's something that you would like, maybe not. But if it is, perhaps you're thinking about qualities like, wow, I found a partner and they compliment me so perfectly, like XYZ. So those are the type of statements you could use. You could talk about your relationships with your family, your relationships with friends and others in your community, how you gave back, because we should talk about it like it's already happened. A couple more categories to think about, one being personal growth and mindset. So this could be like, I'm so proud of how confident I've been. I'm so proud of how positive I've been. I meditated and it really helped with my anxiety and my stress. Things like that. And the last one, lifestyle and experiences. So this could be, I'm thinking like travel, things that you do in your downtime, your home life, new experiences. For example, I went to Europe and, want to get really specific, right? So like maybe it's, I went to Croatia, to this city, and I did this and it was so much fun, and I, met some new people and it was amazing. I feel like the biggest thing here, you really, really want to write this and think about it as if it's already happened, because the biggest thing I'm learning from that Joe Dispenza book, and if you listen to anyone talk about manifesting, there's often this idea that you have to really connect your thoughts, like your intentions, with your emotions and your feelings. So with the example of traveling, if I get so specific on where I went, how it felt when I was there, how I got there, like I am just really thinking through that so much, and I'm feeling it, like I'm actually there. It's literally like working out mentally. You have to practice this. We're gonna get like delusional basically, right? We're gonna be like delulu a little bit, and that's how you do it. That's how you manifest things into your life, I believe, is you have to truly believe that those things are yours and that you are going to experience those things. Like that's where we want to be when we're doing this exercise. We want to feel that future self experience so deeply that you can perfectly visualize every last detail, and you can feel that warm feeling, like almost that feeling you get when you're in the sunlight, you know, the sunlight's on your skin and it just feels so warm and you get almost like little goosebumps or something, right? Like that warm, happy feeling. You want to really, really just pinpoint that. And as much as you can, I think doing that in conjunction with your thoughts and having that gratitude of, wow, what an amazing trip I went on. I'm so grateful for that. I loved it. It was so much fun. Having that level of gratitude and those feelings and those thoughts, you're putting yourself in the best possible position with your intentions for these things to happen. I hope that you guys really enjoyed this journaling exercise. I tried to keep it really short with just our 2 main prompts today. If you like these videos, I can definitely share more of some different journaling prompts that I do. But as a whole, I love to keep it short and sweet and really just let yourself go ahead and brain dump and share as much as you possibly can, because you can always cross things out later. You can always refine it, but it's really beautiful to just like get as much as you possibly can out of your head and onto the page. If you're not already subscribed, don't forget to click that button below so that you don't miss out on any of my new content. I hope that you are having a beautiful start to the new year, and just know that by spending this time on yourself to do these things, you are already setting yourself apart. Like you are so above and beyond setting yourself apart. You should be so proud of yourself just for doing this. Truly. It's like the stats that when someone writes down their goals, I think it's something crazy, like you're 60, 70% more likely to achieve them. That's what we're doing here. We are setting our attention, we are putting that location in our GPS, and then it's a lot easier to get there. Wishing you a beautiful start to the year and a beautiful journaling experience, and I can't wait to see you in my next one. Bye guys.